Hi, I'm Mark Small. This is Civil Discourse Now. It's July 26th, 2022. There are people who are kind of overwrought right now over whether the individual who occupied the Oval Office from January 20th, 2017 to January 20th, 2021 should run for that office of president again in 2024. A lot of people, even in the Republican Party, are opposed to his running. But there are some people who are trying to advocate for him running because they think it will screw up the Republican Party. I'm running for office as a Republican. I'm anti-gun, pro-choice, pro-environment, and anti-Trump. And I'm running for state representative in District 86 here in Indiana. It's on the north side of Indianapolis. The worst thing that somebody can do is try to play some cutesy thing where they encourage the other side to have a really awful person run as a candidate for office, because sometimes that person gets elected. We had 4 years of him in office, 4 years of the worst presidency in our nation's history. He will be indicted in at least one jurisdiction here soon. But the point is, he should not be encouraged to run by people who want to see him run so that he'll bring down the Republican Party. That can backfire. In 1976, Ronald Reagan was a joke. He ran for president, didn't get the nomination because he was running against Jerry Ford, who was the incumbent. People probably were wanting to encourage him to run so that he could take down the Republican Party with him. Unfortunately, that's not the way the American populace worked out. So I really think that we have to look very, very hard and cold at anybody who recommends trying to screw up the gears of a major party by having someone run for an office from that party who is not qualified. And let's be clear, the electors were set up as a means by which the chief magistrate of the United States would be selected. They viewed that as being the nature of the office of President of the United States. Madison wrote that the method by which we were going to choose that person was magnificent, was excellent. Hamilton wrote in the Federalist Papers that the electors were set up so that they would view the candidates for president and be able to exercise discretion in order to prevent someone who is incompetent, corrupt, or under the influence of a foreign power from taking that office. With Trump, we got all three. But also, we've never had electors to act independently and exercise discretion. That's important because there's no intimation that the electors are in place to make sure that whoever didn't win the popular vote can take that office. Majority rule has been the basis, the principle upon which this country has functioned for 2.5 centuries. We're not substituting electors back then to make sure a minority wins. More than that, if you look at how things went, the framers at the Constitutional Convention depended upon the goodwill and the patriotic spirit of the people who are going to be running for office and operating the country. That soon was something that was kind of shown not to be such a valid assumption. In 1824, John Quincy Adams was declared President of the United States by the House of Representatives, even though Andrew Jackson won a plurality of the popular vote. Adams had cut a deal so that Henry Clay could be Secretary of State, and it stunk to high heaven. There's what Adams should have said at the time was, no, look, I don't like Jackson. I think he's a thug and a brawler, but that's not why we have the electors in place, so we can play games and try to game the system. If he had done that, we would have had something set as a precedent. For example, in 1840, William Henry Harrison was elected. 1841, in April, he died. Now, when James Tyler took office as vice president, some claimed that he wasn't taking office as president of the United States because the Constitution was not clear. It did not say that the vice president would assume the office of president of the United States. It said that the vice president would assume the responsibilities of the office of president of the United States. And so some people questioned whether he could act as president. He set any doubts, tossed them out the window and said, no, I am president of the United States. That was important. It was a clear statement so people understood who was president. And that precedent held until they amended the Constitution so that it was more clear on presidential succession. That being said, we shouldn't cheer on Trump to be a candidate for anything, but especially president of the United States. His 4 years were disruptive. They set our country back terribly. Now, I can say that as a Republican nominee for state rep, because I'm not advocating somebody running against a nominee of the party. Trump isn't the nominee. And those who worship Trump, and they do, can't fault me for criticizing him because he's not a nominee. He might be your God, but he is not the nominee of the party. He has done more to destroy things in this country than anybody that has held any kind of political office here. And certainly he did it, if not directly at the direction of a hostile foreign power, Putin, he certainly did it to the glee of Putin. This is Civil Discourse now. It's July 26th, 2022, Mick Jagger's birthday. Peace, love, happiness, freedom, all that. Take care.